You ever notice how, no matter what level you are, your attacks seem to hit at about the same rate? Or that the number you're looking to beat on a skill check pretty much always falls in a certain range? What gives, you might think? Isn't my character supposed to be getting more numerically dominant as they level up? Welcome to D&D 5e's system of bounded accuracy, an essential design principle that operates as the foundation of the game's math and mechanics. Every time you roll a 20-sided die, you're engaging with bounded accuracy. And it's a term you'll hear getting thrown around a lot in D&D discourse. D&D discourse? But what is bounded accuracy? In a nutshell, bounded accuracy is a system where the difference between attack bonuses, armor class, ability modifiers, DCs, and saving throws remains relatively constant throughout the game, regardless of character level. Power gains are measured in additional features rather than in bigger numbers. To demystify things a bit, let's break the term down into its parts. Accuracy refers to your chance to hit something, or more generally, succeed at a task. Bounded refers to the hard-ish limits on how well you're able to do in any task, and how difficult a task can possibly be. Alright, so that kind of makes sense, but what are these bounds? Well, the upper bound of D&D 5e's difficulty is 30, signifying a task that is nearly impossible, and the lower bound is 0. Well, technically -3, but it essentially counts the same as a 0. In what way is accuracy bounded? Well, without magic items or additional effects, the highest modifier a player can achieve is +11. That's assuming a maximum level ability score and proficiency bonus for whatever type of d20 test you're making. If you're playing that a nat 20 is an auto success and a 1 an auto failure, regardless of modifiers, there's always a 5% chance of success or failure, regardless of your modifiers. But with a roll of 19 and a maxed out modifier, a player can just barely do the hardest tasks in the game. That's a very brief rundown of what bounded accuracy means. You can read more about why bounded accuracy was a core principle for the 5e design team in a 2012 article from Rodney Thompson, link in the description. I'll go into more detail about that article in my next video on what the design team's objectives of bounded accuracy were and whether or not they achieved those objectives based on the D&D community's feedback. But in the rest of this video, I'll be taking a closer look at how exactly bounded accuracy operates in D&D 5e, how it affects combat and other aspects of the game, and how to break the game's bounds. I'll even give an extreme example at the end for utterly breaking bounded accuracy. But for now, let's get into the basics. What are 5e's bounds? Well, as I said already, 5e's bounds are essentially 0 to 30. But how does this actually play out in practice? On the modifier side of things, players are limited in several ways. For starters, there's ability scores. Under normal circumstances, players are capped at 20 for ability scores, strength, intelligence, etc., corresponding to a +5 modifier. Yes, barbarians can get a +7 with their capstones, and manuals, epic boons, and belts of giant strength exist. We'll get to all that later. The second way modifiers are bound is by proficiency bonus. Proficiency bonuses run from +2 to a maximum of +6, increasing every 4 character levels. These bonuses just signify that whatever you're good at, you get progressively better at as you level up. It applies to your attacks and skills that you're proficient in. Modifiers are also limited by magic items. 5e's magic items never exceed a +3 bonus in AC or attack rolls. However, the game never assumes you have magic items for its difficulty curve. It only assumes your ability scores and proficiency bonuses go up. More details on what exactly I mean by this later on. For now, just know that the +5 ability score bonus and +6 proficiency bonus are the assumed maximum bonuses in this system, adding up to a +11 altogether. On the difficulty side of things, the principle is much the same, as this handy table shows. Breaking down a breakable door will nearly always fall somewhere in the 15 to 20 DC range. There's no need for a DM to create ever more challenging doors to keep up with their mega enhanced players. Likewise, enemy armor class will nearly always fall in the 10 to 20 range, and it's not crazy to see a 15 AC enemy at level 1 or at level 10. Sure, the health pools and damage potential of these foes goes up, but a level 1 player can certainly land an attack on a vampire spawn. It just won't do much. And notice something else? The highest possible die roll on a d20 is a 19, again assuming a nat 20 auto hits, and the lowest is a 2, assuming a nat 1 is an auto failure. So your range of d20 results goes from a -3, assuming a -5 modifier and a d20 roll of 2, to 30, assuming a +11 modifier and a d20 roll of 19. Those are, in a nutshell, the bounds of D&D's d20 math. The difficulty of all activities, from hitting a monster to persuading someone, falls somewhere in that range of 0 to 30. At the same time, bounds are placed on a player's modifiers at a rate that ensures they can never reach a point where they automatically succeed at the game's hardest challenges. Well, that's not really true, but I'll save that for the end where I'll cover how to break bounded accuracy. But for now, let's turn to a big question. How does bounded accuracy affect combat in 5e? This is the fascinating part, and the part that many optimizers assume as a matter of course when running white room experiments on a character build's potential damage per round. Basically, bounded accuracy ensures that, assuming no magic items, a player's 2-hit chance remains relatively even at 65% across all tiers of play. Basically, no matter what level you are, a roll of 8 or higher will result in a hit against the average level-appropriate enemy. More specifically, the player's natural bonuses to hit, which are increased by ability score improvements and proficiency bonus increases, scale at the exact same rate as the ACs of each tier of monsters' challenge ratings. This table from RPGBot shows exactly how this plays out across levels. Credit and shout out to RPGBot's website as well, super useful for optimizers and beginners alike, link in the description. But back to the table, which, by the way, you should note makes a few assumptions. Assumption number 1 is that a player uses their ability score improvements at levels 4 and 8 to increase their relevant attack ability modifier. Assuming the player started with a 16 in their main ability, corresponding to a +3 modifier, they'll reach a +5 modifier by 8th level, when their ability score reaches 20. A player's proficiency bonus increases 4 times, starting at +2 and increasing at levels 5, 9, 13, and 17. Together, ability score improvements and proficiency bonuses scale at exactly the same rate as the expected AC of monsters, with a challenge rating appropriate for your level, barring level 9, which is an anomaly in the otherwise smooth math, when your assumed chance to hit is 70%. Basically, foregoing ASIs for feats puts you somewhat behind in the game's expectations for your 2-hit chance of level-appropriate monsters. However, most feats worth choosing more than make up for this -5% drop-off. That's kind of the whole point. Alright, that's the basics of how bounded accuracy works in 5e. Now for the fun part. How can we break bounded accuracy? While bounded accuracy is a core design principle of the game, there are several ways to break the upper bound of 30 that the system sports. I'll briefly cover a few of the most common ways to break bounded accuracy, but do note that this list is by no means comprehensive. Lots of features do it in one way or another. But the most common by far is expertise, which is a feature available to bards, rogues, and anyone with the skill expert feat. It doubles the proficiency bonus you add to skills you're proficient in. This brings the maximum proficiency modifier to +12, which, with a +5 ability score modifier, translates into a +17 on a roll. With a +17 bonus, your max result is a +36, and your character exceeds at nearly impossible tasks 40% of the time. A rogue's reliable talent feature, which makes their lowest roll result a 10 on any skill they're proficient in, brings this a step further. With a +17 and a floor of 10, rogues can have a minimum of 27 on all their skill checks. Of course, nat 1s could still be an auto failure. Most people don't mind this, as broken skill checks aren't usually as game-breaking as broken attack modifiers or AC. Plus, if a player commits to being that much of an expert at something, they should probably be reliably good at it. Another common way to break bounded accuracy is magic items. Since 5e's difficulty curve was designed on the assumption that players have no magic items, they don't factor into the essential math of the game. Regardless of what tier a player gets a +1 weapon, they're essentially 5% ahead of the curve, 70% chance to hit instead of 65%. The same principle applies to +2 and +3 weapons in magic armor. At 17th level, with a +3 weapon, you can get to +14 to hit, +6 from proficiency, +5 from your attack ability modifier, and +3 from your weapon, bringing your max roll to 33. More importantly, your chance to hit something with an AC of 19 is 80%. Again, this isn't really a big deal at higher levels. Monsters with a challenge rating above 20 also break the game's basic math, so in this case, you kinda do need magic items to keep up with the difficulty curve. And another extremely common way to break bounded accuracy is with stacking bonuses. This goes for stuff that buffs your attack rolls like Bardic Inspiration, Bless, Flash of Genius, ability checks, again Bardic Inspiration, Flash of Genius, Guidance, and saving throws, again Bardic Inspiration, Bless, Flash of Genius, or Protection. If you've seen my videos on spells, you know I'm bullish on any ability that modifies a d20 roll. Now you know why I'm so in love with Bless and Mindsliver. But for a real example of the power of stacking bonuses, consider a Paladin/Peace Cleric multiclasser. With Bless, Emboldening Bond, and Aura Protection, they'd have a 2d4 +5 bonus to all saving throws, +10 on average, before taking their normal modifiers into account. And that's just at 7th level. Don't even get me started on Pass Without Trace, which basically does the same thing, a flat +10 bonus, for the whole party's stealth modifier in a single spellcast. These things all bring the floor, or lowest possible result, of a d20 roll to a number above 20 with the right natural modifiers. Basically, you can't fail. Okay, so those are some general instances of things that break bounded accuracy. Plenty more things break it in some way or another. I won't attempt an exhaustive list here, but feel free to shout some out in the comments. But to wrap things up, as promised, let's get wild now and really break the game, with an extreme example of breaking bounded accuracy. Here we go. Start by being a 17th level artificer who's trying to pick a lock. By this level, you can easily have a +5 dexterity and +5 intelligence modifier if that's where you put your ability score improvements. So that's +5 for the dexterity check since you're picking a lock. Next, infuse yourself some gloves of thievery. These give you a +5 bonus to dexterity checks when you pick locks. And since you are using a tool you're proficient in, you can use tool expertise to double your normal proficiency bonus up to a +12. Next, cast guidance on yourself. That's a +1d4 on your next skill check. Then grab yourself a stone of good luck for +1 on all ability checks and saves, and an iron stone of mastery for another +2 bonus. It's normally a +1 proficiency bonus, but +2 with expertise. Okay, now you're ready to go pick that lock, and as you do, be sure to use Flash of Genius as a reaction to yourself making a skill check. That's another +5 bonus to the roll, assuming your intelligence modifier is +5. Congrats! You now have a +31 to +34 bonus on your lockpicking skill check, without any class features but your own. And some magic items. Any lock in the world that's nearly impossible to crack, you can break with a roll of 2 or higher, or a 95% success rate, assuming you're playing that nat 1s are failures no matter what. And for funsies, your maximum roll result is 54 if you roll a 20 on the d20 roll and a 4 on the guidance roll. That's an extreme example, but I think it's useful for highlighting the many ways to break bounded accuracy in practice, and through fairly normal gameplay too. Alright, so that's what bounded accuracy means in the context of D&D 5e. It's the essential and quite simple math that the game runs on. It has its merits and drawbacks, but I'm not going to get into that today. Feel free to start debating whether bounded accuracy is a good or bad thing in the comments below though. I'll give both sides of the story and my 2 cents in my next video on bounded accuracy. Specifically, I'll go into a lot more detail about why bounded accuracy is a thing in 5e, what it accomplishes, and common complaints about it. I was going to stuff it all into one video, but I wanted each one to have its own clear intent. Today is the math portion of things, and next time will be more about history and game design philosophy. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please consider doing the like and subscribe thing if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, and let me know in the comments if you have any lingering questions about bounded accuracy. Also let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this, or what topics you would like to see covered. From D&D Lounge, may your die rolls always make it seem like your character breaks bounded accuracy, and best of luck in your next adventure.